Mechanical energy is force multiplied by the displacement of the object the force is applied to in the direction of the force. When we consider how a resistive force affects this situation, we must look more carefully at a scenario. Let us consider an object that has a rough surface. The roughness of the surface of the object and the surface it is moving against determine the level of friction between the two objects. The friction provides a resistive force to motion. The greater the frictional force, the harder it is to move an object. Initially, you will not be able to overcome this frictional force, so all the force going into the object is not going to moving that object. As there is zero displacement in the direction of the force, there is no energy involved in the system. Once you overcome this frictional force, you generate a low overall force. Overall force is not of consideration to energy, as energy is force multiplied by the displacement in the direction of the force. We are interested in the force in the direction of the force. We are not interested in the force in the opposite direction to our driving force, the resistive force. So, in our situation, we have generated a force to overcome friction. This force is greater than the frictional force. As soon as we start moving the object, we generate a displacement, and so an energy. Frictional force tends to have one value to overcome. Once you've overcome this value of friction, you can continue as previously. In fact, once you've overcome the initial friction, friction decreases slightly. However, fluid resistance is different to solid resistance. As you increase an object's speed, the fluid in which you are moving the object applies a greater force to oppose this motion. In the situation above, when you have overcome friction and generated acceleration, this acceleration will be decreased over time as the air resistance increases. Once the forces are equalized, you have a situation where there is no overall force. However, the energy required is still the same as before. The energy is the force multiplied by the displacement. As long as you are moving forward, you are generating energy. The faster you are going, the more resistive force, and so the greater the driving force you must apply to overcome it and maintain your speed. A greater driving force means more energy per unit displacement. That is why, if you are travelling at a greater velocity on the motorway, you are using up fuel quicker, because you are using up energy quicker. It is also why it is imperative to have an aerodynamic car to reduce fluid resistance on your car.